And then I said, Mary, how was I supposed to know it was a badger?
Oh, man.
Well,
Well,
welcome to the first episode of Montana Voices, episode 001. Hopefully, in a long line of episodes coming up in the future.
absolutely. Optimistic with 3 figures there.
Well, I'm Jimmy. On the other side is Bryce here, and we're going to talk about issues pertaining to Montana politics.
Might throw in a few odd tidbits here and there, little offhand subjects that just come across the mind.
We probably shouldn't fly off the handle, because, if you get off topic, people will call that out. And
Good point. You want to give people a fair warning ahead of time. But yeah, no, absolutely. You're full on right there. We will certainly be staying on topic as much as possible.
So, I guess we'll start with topic one, which is, I know I'm just springing this on you, Bryce, but Trump is visiting Missoula this Thursday.
You sprung it on me, he sprung it on the people of Missoula, it sounds like, as well. You're there, I'm not. So, what's the current outlook on it? What's the attitude with the local Walmart,
Yeah, it depends. Is it the Walmart that smells like pee, or is it...
Yeah, the Walmart with the rich people Walmart and the not-so-rich people Walmart.
So apparently, if you are of decent caliber, you go to the other Walmart. So I found I was venturing out, and I thought Dan was just talking smack on Missoula, saying the Walmart smells like pee. But the first time I went there last night, I was like, darn it, that he didn't lie to me. He just wasn't talking to.
It's just got that aroma to it. Yeah.
So we live very close to our school, and to get to the other Walmart, I actually have to drive beyond the P Walmart. And so we go there, and then I run into the kid's teacher who lives on this side of town, and other kids from my kid's school, and apparently we were all there for the same reasons. And it's a bizarro Walmart. It's one of those layouts that is completely different from everything.
Was it built before the current layout Walmarts, or after? Is it like a newer design?
I think it's a newer design.
I see. I wonder, have you been to the new one in Great Falls?
I have.
Is it similar to that design, or is it completely different?
It is different than that. It's a layout that makes no sense at all.
I see. All right, because I have been to no Walmarts in Missoula, but wow, geez. So, Walmart aside, though, what I imagine people are already signing up to picket and are already out there arguing in the streets.
Well, that's a normal day in Missoula. So,
good point.
They are. There's a number of rallies going on. There's peace rallies that are happening at the same time. I don't know if they're planning to do this near the event. That's going to be a problem for them since, Trump doesn't have the audacity to leave the airport in Missoula. So he's going to be doing this at a hangar.
I was going to say, it seems mighty convenient for him to just fly in and then fly out and not even have to leave that gated vicinity there,
Yeah, and the airport here is similar to the Great Falls or any other airport. The road to and from it is controlled and, of course, highly monitored. So there probably will not be any activity there. But I'm pretty thrilled about it because I'm not an anti-Trumper, but this nonstop rallying, and I don't know if you knew, but Billings is going to have some budget shortfalls this year because they paid to support the Trump rally.
I didn't hear about that.
Apparently a lot of it came out of the road budget, so plows might be a little sparse this winter.
Ooh, that is not fun to hear. You're gonna have a lot of complaints hit the old Facebook accounts for the local news stations there, I have a feeling.
Yeah, Color 8, the only place to get news from Billings, I think. But we'll look forward to that, and I'm just looking forward to not paying for this. Because if we do pay for all this, it costs some $18,000 an hour to fly Air Force One. So.
Oh yeah, and to hear about everything that is involved with it, just to hear about the emergency staffs that they have to keep on hand. It's like every hospital within a 300 radius or something. I'm completely wrong on that count, but I know that when you came to Great Falls, they had to have medical staff on hand at Benefice ready to go, and then over in Missoula ready to go, and Billings and Havre, and wherever in case they needed to fly him off. So, you know, the logistics of just everybody who has to be prepared for anything possible, you know, it creates just a real event of such. So, and it just blows my mind that he would choose Missoula of all places. Like, I know he's really gunning hard for his candidates here, but like that just seems like a real like dead horse market.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I don't know what votes he's going to get up here, but you know, does Haber even have a venue that can support him, or they have it? I hear. So
I don't know. I can imagine that'd be cool to see him, you know, set up shop in the train yard there, but I don't think they would stop for that. And I believe Warren Buffett owns BNSF, so I don't think that they would be down with that.
Yeah, the trains don't stop for anything. Say what you will about Warren Buffett, but the trains are on time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so this was an issue, I remember an issue in the campaign, back in the 2016 campaign, when Bernie Sanders was still in for probably a little while after it was very obvious that he wasn't going to get the nod from the Democrats. And one of the points that was brought up against him is how much money the Secret Service costs per day to, you know, follow Bernie Sanders around on his bus, or however Bernie got it. I think it was yeah, he was on a bus.
You know, one solitary bus everybody gets on. And it's not like a tour bus, it's like, you know, well, it's a tour bus in the sense of like it's probably just like a Greyhound, you know, just like
Decommissioned Greyhound.
Yeah, exactly. It's got enough seats, we'll take that one, you know.
Well, you know, he's the workers' candidate. There's some honor in hard work and living without, so there.
What do you think they did for housing if they took a Greyhound everywhere for that? You think they did Airbnb? I imagine that Bernie did like the cheapest Airbnb you could find.
Yeah, cheapest Airbnb, but probably not. He only probably goes to hotels. That was another issue during the campaign of Bernie, where people were knocking him because his staff was using Uber, and for some reason that was an issue. Like, we thought you were a socialist. I mean, there's not much more capitalistic than Uber, I think.
Good point. But you know, capitalists and convenience both start with that C, you know. So. I don't know, in a lot of those areas, did they have buses running where those people needed to go at that specific time? You know, sometimes you gotta use that evil in order to combat that evil, I assume. You know, devil's advocate there.
Absolutely, and I can't remember which president it was, but it was a big deal at the time. The president that toured all 50 states from a train. He had his own train car. I almost want to say Truman or someone.
Ooh,
and he was the...
God, maybe that would... Are you sure that wasn't Reagan?
Nah, that wasn't Reagan. This was in the quite a bit ago.
I just watched this on Modern Marvels. Like,
apparently, you can tour that train.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I wanted to take the kids too. You know, let them.
It was Truman. It was the Whistle Stop Train Tour.
There you go.
And he was campaigning right from the back of the train. He had his own thing in there. I mean,
okay.
Sanders should have toured on Amtrak.
Yeah, and I remember that because this episode that I saw this on was about Air Force One, because they're talking about how they migrated from the train over to the plane. You know.
Oh, I believe a 707, if I'm thinking right.
Something like that, I believe. It was pretty insane. I just can't imagine what the new one's going to be like now, because that deal wasn't put through yet until Trump was in office, and so he got to go back and renegotiate with Boeing, I assume, on all that.
Yeah, maybe he did, and you know, he's made quite a few jabs that you know, Trump. I think it's a 737 is nicer than Air Force One, but that is not the case, and unfortunately, he wouldn't be allowed to go on his personal plane because it'd need to be outfitted and such. But that's another interesting thing. I remember during the first days of the Obama presidency that the Secret Service pretty much had to smack a BlackBerry. There's a sign of the times. They had to steal Obama's BlackBerry because it wasn't secured. He only got to communicate through secured means. And Trump is tweeting at 3 a.m., which is can't be secure at all. So that's very interesting.
Exactly. It's probably happening from Air Force One a lot of times. It's like, can you imagine like when he came through, when he got into office, that first request through to the IT department, can we get Twitter unblocked on the web filter? The president, like, huh?
Somebody call Barracuda. We need this.
Yeah. Someone call back and verify that request is legitimate.
No, this can't be real. No, it is. So, yeah, apparently a touch and go here in Missoula. He'll be probably out of here within the hour, but that's super convenient. It's almost feels like a train stop tour. And it's, I suppose, the most efficient way to do it, rather than dealing with the logistics of transporting him downtown or wherever they have him.
Yeah, and traffic in downtown Missoula is a nightmare at any time, specifically that time that he's going to be in town, because he's coming in like at 6 o'clock, right? Quitting time, isn't he?
Yeah, it starts at 6:30, so I'm not sure what time he flies in.
Shoot me in the face before you make me drive downtown Missoula at 6:30. Like, if you have somewhere to be, you're not going to be there till like 7:38.
Yep, it's faster to get there by bike. Or maybe you should get on a bicycle. Maybe a tandem with
him and Pence.
Kanye could be in the front.
There you go. Oh, man, Kanye. Jeez, there's something else to talk about.
Is there something else? Because it seems like he's, falling out of mind, and he's got a new album coming up or coming out.
Does he? If he does...
Yeah, nobody was paying attention to him.
That would make a lot of sense if he had an album about to drop out. After watching his rant there, I just felt that the man, he showed a lot of signs.
Which rant? The SNL rant or the rant in front of Trump?
The one in front of Trump specifically, where he pulled out his phone and showed him the plane. And, yeah, no, that just, wow. Where are we as a country, Blows
he went down to Wyoming, I think Casper, to the resort down there to finish his last album. And apparently some of that Wyoming values got into him.
Oh, well, he did a release party out there. I remember Joni Hill was talking about that on a late night show. He got to go out to Kanye's release party in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Not Jackson
Jonah Hill.
I forget where it was. Somewhere in Wyoming. Anyway, regardless, though, that's a little too off topic. Yeah, no, I don't blame Trump for not wanting to go downtown Missoula. He's already not necessarily his crowd in that area, and then nobody wants to go downtown Missoula at that time. So I'm sure even the people protesting it are probably a little appreciative that they can at least just show up in one specific area and not have to, deal with having to find a parking spot downtown, because that creates a problem for them too, you'd have to imagine.
Oh, the parking is very aggressive here.
Absolutely.
And they are aggressive on booting things, which, doesn't solve the parking problem.
No, because then you just take up that spot, for God knows how long until someone comes to remove the boot. So.
Yeah, so it's very contentious. It's literally easier to get around by bike.
For sure. And that's a great segue into our next topic, actually.
About downtown parking. We're going to go to the Great Falls meter issues.
Indeed. The electricgf.com posted about this, which is a, I don't know, independent is what they call themselves, news source. However, I really don't know. It seems like it's just one or two people that run it. I'm not really sure. I really don't know much about these people, but you can contribute / advertise.
Yeah, one of them was an ex-writer for the Great Falls Tribune, which is nearly defunct. Maybe you saw recently that their business hours have changed. Their office is only open until noon. I think Monday through Friday, or even Thursday. I'm not sure, but very limited hours over there. You gotta keep those journalist hours down, so you don't want to.
It seems like a hard time to put a paper together in half the time that you normally would.
Well, they're outsourcing most of it. You get these new journalists, and they go work in this essentially a print center where they write stories for wherever. So a lot of the stories you see that are written, even on the local news, are actually coming out of, Denver or Detroit or somewhere where there's just a mill of journalists just cranking out these stories without care.
I see. Well, when I worked in the news industry, they kind of did the same thing, but it wasn't necessarily without care, because, you could tell the way you were watching wasn't a local story, but, to fill time, a lot of times they would grab a story from the national headlines in that regard, but, the way that you say it, though, makes me ask, though, like, are they doing that in a way that makes them seem as if they are local and posting that?
I think that's the idea, especially for these stories. I mean, this has been going on for forever, because back when the Tribune was owned by the Associated Press, there would be articles in the Tribune, and they would have no author whatsoever. It'd just say AP source on the bottom. And now they've just extended that out. They're removing more of the local people because they are expensive and can't do 1,000 stories a week or whatnot.
I see. Oh, they were owned by the AP. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there was AP for a while, and then now I think they're owned by Gannett, which is similar to the AP, or also sort of the smaller outfit in the larger outfit of newspapers. It's Lee Enterprises, which runs the Butte. I can't remember. They call it the Standard or something over mining or something, and also the Billings Gazette.
Okay.
Which are also falling on dire times, and I'm not sure whether to laugh at them or whatnot, but fortunately much of the truly independent and original reporting comes from newspapers still, and it'd be interesting to see where the industry goes, as those are no longer a thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a dying industry in that regard. No one wants to pay to read that stuff. They just want to click past any kind of paywall, or open it up in an incognito browser so they can get past that paywall. Who wants to pay $5 a month for the place that you read an article from? What ends up being worth it, though, logistically when you look at it, $5 monthly, a lot of these people probably do spend about $5 monthly worth amount of time on these sites, but when they think about it themselves, they look at it and they think, there's no way I'm paying $5 for that. I look at maybe one or two articles on here, maybe a month, maybe. But
yeah, it's the way it goes. People don't want to pay for anything. I mean, we've sort of been conditioned for years by television and other sources that things are free, and we just exchange our time and buy stuff with these advertisement dollars, essentially. So that has the market pushed us that direction, and now the businesses that relied on subscription are suffering because of that. I think Gene Simmons had a rant recently about how he blamed the fans squarely and how they killed the music industry, or his music industry.
Oh yeah, was that his Napster rant?
No, this was recent, so...
I don't know, he got into it with Anonymous, if I recall correctly.
Or QAnon, Anonymous, and him and Metallica, of course.
I don't think QAnon was around back then. QAnon's just been a more recent one, but he definitely angered the internet, though, with his talk of anti-piracy.
Anti-piracy, and then he talked a big thing how media's changed, and now a band like Kiss couldn't exist nowadays, and Kiss I think is okay, but they're like a party band. Are they just the 70s versions of Andrew WK or whatever?
It's a very, very good way of putting it. Kiss became more of a brand than it did a band, They had their big hits in the 70s, but then they went the way of Ted Nugent, and they didn't really have anything huge. They had a resurgence a few times. They took off the makeup there in the 80s to try and gain some steam. In 98, I want to say that's around that year, Psycho Circus came out, and that was a really big song for them. And then Detroit Rock City, the movie, came out, and that kind of brought them back into relevance. And really didn't boost album sales, more so for people to listen to than it did just for nostalgic purposes. along with all of their merchandising. But like that's why I say it's brand. Like they've put out just nothing. You find anything, you can find a Kiss version of it, and they don't really hide that fact either. Gene Simmons is pretty proud of that. So whatever.
Well, that's how they've made their money, but I don't think the band is, some people are going to get angry, but I don't think they're particularly talented.
Yeah, no, that you get angry at the Kiss Army there. No, I think that they're good in a lot of respects, but they I don't know, they don't have to be good anymore. When you wrote that many one-hit wonders back then, and not even one-hit wonders because there was more than one, but when you write that many good songs that are big hits, you don't have to write anything else because you can just kind of live off of that if you do it right. And they did it right because they sold that licensing to everything.
Kiss Lunchbox, Kiss Mascara. I do think they have their own line of makeup. I would be surprised if they didn't.
Oh yeah, I mean Halloween's right around the corner. You know it. I mean,
they were certainly smart businessmen, I suppose, with the licensing. But as far as musical talent, creativity, uniqueness, somebody who kind of is a musician. If you look at the people that are on YouTube or SoundCloud just making music, and not talking about mumble rappers, certainly not, but that are making music in their basement for literally peanuts, and compare their talent to what we've seen in the mainstream, it's not talent that's putting these people forward.
Let's go ahead and tread into mumble rap territory here, and just straight out Lil Peep before he died. And after he died, they released a lot of good tracks from him after he was gone, and gotta say, kid had some dope tunes. A lot of people are gonna combat me on that too, probably, but yeah.
I have never heard of Little Peep.
Little Peep,
so.
Wow. Yeah, no, check him out for sure. It's good.
Maybe I've got some trips this week. I need something to keep me awake. Usually I'm sporting the last podcast on the left, depending on how tired I am, because there's nothing quite like the hatred of Casey Anthony to keep you going.
Casey Anthony, it's been a while.
Has never been to Montana, I hope.
Yeah, let's keep it that way, maybe.
Yeah, North Dakota's nice. You should check them out.
Jeez. Alright, so we got way off topic there again. Back to the parking lot issue there. So they want to potentially raise, from what I'm seeing here?
Yeah, they want to raise, but apparently there's some problems with the downtown commission, in that two of the members haven't been there in such a long time that they now need to take a vote with the, I suppose, one remaining member to decide if they're going to kick the other two members out and try to fill their spaces with somebody else, in which case they still can't take an actual vote on anything until all the spots are filled. So they're in a hard spot, but one of the things they're thinking about is if they're going to take on debt to do the downtown parking garage repairs that have been prolonged for forever, I suppose. I guess sort of the question is how we got to this spot. I mean, downtown Great Falls hasn't been the most vibrant place, but downtowns are coming back. The mall scourge of the 80s is ending. Big malls and box stores are going down, and downtowns are coming back. So, it's not like it was, but a long way to go.
Downtown Great Falls is a lot more bustling than it used to be, and especially when you compare it to the mall. Like, the mall is kind of a dead zone. The only thing that really keeps a lot of people going to the mall anymore, I think, is just Little Athens, probably a couple other places, but specifically Little Athens, let's be honest. But you look downtown, and there's so many shops that have opened up. A lot more alternative lifestyle type environments, I'd say. There's probably more tattoo and marijuana type businesses around that some people may not be comfortable with. But either way, that's commerce in the area. That's business and that's money to the community. Those aren't commercialized franchises at all. Those are local-owned shops.
Well, that is the idea, and that everyone can get a behind small business, I think. Even if it is a tattoo parlor or a marijuana store or shop. Are they actually selling marijuana there? Because I thought you can only do that at a dispensary and not in city limits last I knew.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's just they sell pipes probably there. I'm not really
Pipe
sure.
accessories?
Yeah, Stranger Things is the place I'm thinking of. I'm not really sure what they sell there. It's something like that. They, I mean, as the name implies, they sell odds and ends. It's very much like a Spencer's Gifts type environment, I'm imagining.
Yeah, have you, I'm not, I wouldn't say friends with the owner, but, her son I'm friends with, so I'm very familiar with how they run that place, and it's, basically a head shop, and it has some odd one-off things, like, I don't know if you remember Blade Master that was up on 10th, years ago. I'm not even sure if they're still there, but they filled that niche, so I'm not sure if Blade Master's gone. Yes.
Oh yeah, Sherlock's Home's still there. Yeah, you're talking about r/mall ninja shit.
Yeah, getting out of control here. Yeah, but that one, and then there's a number of, like you said, alternative and sort of boutique shops, including the ones that have been there for ever, that have hung on through the 80s and 90s, which we can be glad those are over.
Exactly, and it's starting to come back, but the thing that people don't like about that is that when you have areas that just have more activity like that, you're gonna attract more activity, and that activity in a lot of instances seems to be homeless people, transients and such. And from what I've seen online, there seems to be a big guffaw happening about the local homeless population going up, and people don't seem to realize that is directly tied with rising business and such. It's hard to do that. Like if there's a place that doesn't, I'm trying to think of what place would, but with the way that Great Falls is set up, I don't think it's going to be easy to avoid that issue.
I think you're right, and I don't know, hopefully they don't end up like Missoula over here. We have a whole city for the homeless.
Exactly. Does that place have a zip code? It's pretty big.
It should have its own zip code. They should set up a mailing service over there. I mean, that'll, if they have an address, that'll help get out of their troubles there, I think.
Did they move back to the same spot, or did they change after the flooding happened?
Yeah, the river went down, so I think they're back in the same spot. I see a lot of activity over there, but I don't really go looking over there, and it sounds like that everyone just kind of ignores it.
That is unfortunate.
Well, if they're ignored by police and such, that's probably the best for them.
Good point in that regard. So, yeah, overall though, if this whole thing is going to be a raise in parking meters, I'm going to be a little miffed, but I can understand it. No one likes parking downtown, but it's a necessary evil, I understand, to, pay the toll. No place really does that downtown that I can think of, where you can just park and not pay.
Another thing that, I found out from the story from the electric is that apparently our meters are outsourced to a third-party company, and that company's been doing it for some 30-odd years or so, which I thought was interesting, and wondering why they chose to go that way rather than manage their own meters. I don't think we're getting any enhanced services since the meters are from the 80s.
Yeah, I think from, that standpoint, 30 years is a long time to continue outsourcing. Usually you outsource something like that when you're in a bind and you need to get by fast. Then, you look at a more permanent solution to bring in-house for something like that, I'd think. I don't know, that seems kind of troubling.
And concerning, I'm not sure, we'd probably never find out why that decision was made, but making it might have not been the best one. And also, if we can look in the details of that, which are still pretty unsure, because the people that enforce parking are city employees. However, they're enforcing parking so a third-party company can get a percentage of the profits from these meters, essentially.
Ooh, yeah, that is definitely concerning.
So that crony capitalism that Rick Tryon keeps on talking about, or he doesn't call it that. He calls it the good old boys club, or
it's crony capitalism as well. Good old boys club. Here in Great Falls, at the local level, I imagine that's just everyone who's currently in power of the city commission and the mayor's office. But I know that Tracy Houck is involved with that, but past that, I'm not really sure who else is. I think it's the mayor, Bob Kelly. If he's still our mayor currently, I believe he is.
If we're gonna have a podcast, we should know these things.
Yeah, not specifically. I'll have to look up his name. I know that he had gotten into it with Tracy Houck just the other day on Facebook.
Why are we still talking about Rick Tryon? He lost the election. The people of Great Falls spoke pretty clearly.
I cannot recall what the exact numbers were. I thought they were close. But speaking of race numbers, good segue point to our next topic here. The Montana Senate race here. As a point for the coming up election, I think we should make try to talk about at least one race per podcast. So to start off with this one,
I like what you're thinking there. Of course, John Tester and Matt Rosendale, and from what I've seen, it's hard to believe the numbers because people pull different ways, and of course the candidates both say I get flyers for both of them and emails from both, and they both say that it's too close to call and give me money, pretty much.
Oh, absolutely.
And we need to get on that. So that's a lot closer than I think it should be. I thought Montana was very anti-out-of-stater, at least for our local representation, but Mr. Maryland, I know that should also be another negative point in his category. I'm not trying to vouch for any specific candidate here, but a real estate developer from Maryland, so of course he's all hat, no cattle, as they say.
Yeah, it's from what I've seen, that draws a really big issue with people that are voting against him, and not very much of an issue with the people that are voting for him. The people that are voting for him seem to think that Tester is just a shitty rancher now.
Maybe he is. He spends a lot of time in Washington.
Exactly. The latest I've seen here, people seem to be really, really fucking pissed off about his house in Washington, D.C. Apparently he's got some $1 million property, which I imagine, that's probably pennies compared to, these, $1 billion property that Schumer's in, but who knows. But the thing is that they're making it seem like he was given this place, whereas it seems more like it was just a residence that he's allowed to stay in while he's there. And I think part of what they're pissed about with that may be that it's because he is staying there, and that place is owned by some banks, maybe?
Likely. I'm not sure about the details of the banks, but it does make sense that he owns a property there, since he does spend a good portion of the year there. Actually, I'm not sure what senators do if there's some sort of allowance, or if there's a government housing that they are offered while in DC. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's something we'll have to Google for the next cast.
Exactly. I was going to say, let's do a to-do list here for the next one. We'll look into senator housing.
Yeah, so the people that are voting for Rosendale are, overlooking some of those, I think, probably what I would think would be major flaws, and going with Rosendale because of his obvious support of Trump. I mean, Trump's been here twice so far, and both times he's been with Matt Rosendale. And I think he did Rosendale in Great Falls, and was it Gianforte in Billings, if I remember right?
I think if that's who he was gunning for in him. Can't recall.
Well, it's definitely who he's gunning for, but I know that actually was at the rally with him. I think that's right. I might be wrong, but
it was definitely Rosendale at the Great Falls one.
All right, then that would be Gianforte at Billings, I believe. So, who sounds like he's going to win his race. Maybe we'll get to his race next episode. But Gianforte is, I think, pretty much a shoo-in at this point.
You feel so, huh?
Yeah, I'm thinking so. Well, he's running against a woman.
Yes, Kathleen Williams.
Kathleen Williams, who, from what I can see, is very mad to be called not a hunter.
Is there... Ooh. Yeah, that
She's
would strike a chord there, I could see.
F-rated by the NRA, and that's also an issue in this election is whom hunts. I haven't verified the validity of it, but there's an ad accusing Tester of not hunting for some 5 years and not having a fishing license for the past 3 years. Probably all that senating and farming that he's doing.
Yeah, you say he's probably taking up all that time in D.C.
Yeah, so if I plan to run for office, just make sure I get my game and fishing license every year.
Despicable.
Can't have that be an issue.
Can't even. I mean, I want to see the numbers of how much everyone is doing. I think that really should be a point in the future Senate and Congress elections for the state, is how much time you spent out there hunting.
Should be. Speaking of which, opening day next weekend, the 20th. So
Ooh.
Try not to look like a deer.
Make sure you have your orange on out there in the field.
Yeah, blaze orange required.
Absolutely. And yeah, if you're gonna go out in the brush there, try not to. Stay on the roads whenever possible.
So looking to get some of that done myself. May want to run for office someday, but the people that are voting for Rosendale are really overlooking those I think flaws to support Trump. And of course, we are heavily a Trump state here, just why he visits so often.
Yeah, has he been? It feels like he's been, because I know it's only been that couple times, but compared to other states, he's favored here much more than past presidents have.
Absolutely, it was a big deal when Bush Jr. came here once in Great Falls, as I recall. So.
Yes. Yeah, that was a big deal back when it happened. When Obama came, it was kind of big, but he wasn't even the president at that point. That was just when he was running still, I believe, on his campaign.
And then on another note, at the time, this was 2002, I think, or 3, somewhere around there. I was still in high school and working at Burger King, right across from the fairgrounds where Junior was, or Bush Jr. was. And we had a Secret Service on the roof and actually in the restaurant, in the kitchen, watching us, which was a bit intimidating, or very intimidating, because I was just being a dumb kid and I was asking the guy that was there, dumb questions. And he looks at me and just does a cold stone face, and I knew he was serious. He's like, "Shut up, or they will never find you." And just a deadpan to me, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go and make burgers." Like he said it in a way and just so straight faced that I didn't think he was bluffing or anything.
That's probably got to be like just his worst day. Like you have to be set up at the fast food restaurant today.
Apparently not all the areas are bad. I don't know if you remember during the Obama administration that the Secret Service got themselves in some trouble with parties, hookers, prostitutes, etc. So during the Obama era of all things.
Yeah, that's just not look good for Obama era stuff.
But he's not in charge of the Secret Service. I think it's a reciprocal relationship because they force each other's hands quite a bit.
Yeah, I thought that was like a separate entity that was just sworn to keep them alive, and that was it. But
yeah, so they operate separately because every once in a while you hear a president or somebody joking that the Secret Service won't let them do this or that, but times have changed. Remember the time that Bill Clinton went to McDonald's?
How many times has Trump gone into a McDonald's, you think?
I know he definitely didn't jog to any of them like Clinton. Jogging into a McDonald's.
Wow, talk about having your mind blown there at breakfast. Whoa.
Yeah, Secret Service probably had a hard time keeping up with that, but Trump's Secret Service seems pretty active, so. Well, they gotta be. There's a lot of golfing to be done, all these rallies. He's always going places. He's also getting his money out of that Air Force One for as long as it flies.
Yeah, well, we're supposed to be getting a new one here soon. I forget what the date was. I think it's supposed to be in the next term or at the very end of the next term.
Will it be gold-plated?
Not sure. It's a Boeing, I know that much. So Airbus lost out on this one again.
Well, it kind of has to be Boeing, doesn't it?
Well, them or Northrop. And Northrop doesn't really build the big planes. They just build killing items now. So, it's hard to say.
Anywho, somebody who doesn't have their own Air Force, I know for a fact that John Tester flies commercial.
Does he? Does he fly first class commercial?
Well, we flew somewhere together. I think we had to connect out of SLC, and he got on the plane, but then I never saw him again. So he was probably way up in the front.
Like the first row.
Yeah, the first row, first on and off. Like he had his own thing.
Well, I don't know. I suppose that's kind of a seat of importance there for a United States senator. But if it's
it is not. He walked past right everything. Didn't have to go through the gate. I was like, that Tester? He's like, oh, we're on the same plane. He's getting on the plane. I guess that means we're going soon.
Hey, buddy, get back here! Hey, he's coming.
I've got a whole lot of finger jokes for you.
Yeah, that was probably the funniest ad too that they ran on the GOP side against Tester. They were just showing some picture of him buddying up with Obama, but it was a fake picture that they found out. And the way that they found that is because the hands on the person in the picture had all 5 fingers still.
That'll do it. I remember that. So, a fake picture, although I don't think he was the biggest Obama fan or biggest supporter, but he did, obviously he sides with the Democrats, so very interesting to see if our love for Trump trumps our dislike of outer-staters in this election.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you hear the political ads currently, the ones I've been listening to on 1450 and on MTPR are both, I'm trying to think what it was the Border Patrol Alliance or something like that. It was like whatever union shop they got running for the Border Patrol agents, but it was endorsing Tester, it sounded like. Because Tester is strong on the border and hard against sanctuary cities, and I was not aware of that in the slightest. But if he's going to do that, that is a good way to gain support from the right, I'd say.
You'd think so. I mean, he's a Montanan Democrat, so that's pretty far right. I think, except for his position on Social Security, the VA, and healthcare would be the only things that I think put him squarely in the left. And also his opposition to Kavanaugh, because he voted against that, as well as the majority of other Democrats, except for this one guy from West Virginia, which is, see if West Virginia remembers that in about a month.
Yeah, it is not going to be very good for him, I don't think, come next month. Hard to say for sure. I'm not from West Virginia.
So our Supreme Court's going, I think, solidly right. We'll see if Ginsburg can survive another couple years. She's getting, I think she's going to die every election.
She, gosh, I mean, they don't ever have to, come out in public ever, but, I mean, the last couple pictures you've seen of her, it seems like she's ready to just nod off right there. The one picture, she was actually asleep, sitting there next to everybody else. It's like, oh gosh, if she can't keep it
she alive? Somebody poke her.
God, we've been sitting here for 5 minutes, she got to be able to hold it out for a little bit longer.
Well, they should, I don't know why she didn't retire under Obama, but apparently even if she did towards the end, she wouldn't have gotten even, her successor wouldn't have gotten anything.
Because they stonewalled the other guy, didn't they?
Yeah, Merrick Garland, if I remember right. Stonewall was some 180 days waiting for the election, which is a new tactic, and of course Kavanaugh could not be waited for. We have to go right now, so maybe a little hypocrisy from some people there.
Yeah, it seems a little odd, but I feel like that's a topic we should discuss in a later podcast when we can get somebody from a different viewpoint than my own to discuss that with.
Yeah, I think you're typically on the left, and I'm on the right, but a Missoula right, so whatever that counts for.
Yeah, I'd say still Montana left for me for certain there. Definitely akin to the tester standard of square left with Social Security and the likes. Very hard two-way, though.
Hard. Well, I think between the two, I mean, back to Tester's positions there, he's said solidly Montana centrist, if anything. I mean, Montana's pretty diverse, except for the High Line, 'cause that's pretty much North Dakota. So he's, but also he's got some things I think probably go against him. I think one thing that keeps on getting pointed out is the fact that he said he wouldn't run more than twice, and here we are a decade later or so.
Yeah. Well, that's the one thing everyone gets really, really angry about is the term limits. And you see every single one of them make that jump for term 3 and on, and it's a sad thing, but these guys feel like they can just keep doing right for the country, it feels like, but geez, if you really wanted to make yourself look good, like, get in there and put up a bill right away for term limits and, ruffle some feathers. I think that'd be a good way to get it done, but, who's going to be the one to step up and get shot?
And get suicided?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the Clintons are gone, nobody's getting killed anymore.
I'm sure they still got a hit squad out there somewhere, Deep
still
state.
Either,
Deep state.
Underhanded backroom deals, as they call them. Although with the some of those same few exceptions of Social Security tax lowering or small tax low, and healthcare, I think so far Trump has not been too different than Hillary. So it's sort of interesting to put it in that perspective, I guess.
Yeah, everyone going into this always wondered how different it would be him versus her going in and coming out. So I'm, now that we're 2 years in, his term, be it done at 4 years, be it done at 8 years, it'll be interesting to see the status report on the country afterwards,
Well, he got the country in good shape, economy in an upswing, crime going down, so, I mean, it's winning numbers coming in right there, so we'll see how it ends up, but, I guess back to Tester, you said he was for strong immigration control, it sounds like. I was not aware of that.
Enough to get the Border Patrol Agents Association group, whatever it's called, to back him for an ad. So that seemed pretty strong. So
I'll have to look into the validity of that.
Yeah, I mean, it was enough to be on the radio, so...
Is there a threshold for that? Is there any bearing of truth that you have to adhere to? Or?
I imagine there's a monetary threshold.
Yeah, I know you're right about that.
If we're talking about that, though, I mean, that brings up a validity question of anything that really is put up on 1450 AM.
You have 1450 over there. I have 960 over here, which is Patriot Radio.
See,
and that's exactly what it sounds like. I think it's Alex Jones for a good 4-block period during the day.
Really?
Wow, yeah, Alex Jones on the radio.
I don't think we get Alex Jones over here. I'll have to do a scan and see if we can find him over here. Here it's KQDI, and that one in the morning it's Laura Ingraham, and then it is Rush, and then it is Sean Hannity, and then it's Michael Savage, and then
ooh, Savage Nation.
I'm trying to think. Then after that, I think it's Jim Bohannon, and then after that, it's George Norrie. So, quite the lineup.
Speaking of George Norrie, I've taken a hardline opinion here. I think we've done our best to avoid hardline opinions. Yeah, that turns people off. We got to be objective and such. George Norrie destroyed Coast to Coast AM. Him and Alex Jones.
Well, didn't he murder Art Bell?
Some say he did, but he at the very least caused a lot of drama with him, and totally doxed him and came out with his gay son and stuff, and made accusations that there was some incest and other things going on.
What? I didn't hear about any of this.
Oh yeah, George Norrie's and which is so weird because he was set up by Art Bell. He wouldn't be on Coast to Coast AM or anybody that we would even know the name of nowadays if it wasn't for Art Bell. So I'm not sure why you bite the hand that at least did feed.
Well, yeah, that was George Norrie's. It was Art Bell's radio station altogether, and then for George Norrie to just come in on it there.
Well, Art Bell was retiring for like the 6th time, so he, eventually did. And again, Art Bell, it's also suspected he might have killed his first wife, but a story for another day.
We should definitely get into that. We'll mark that down. Art Bell conspiracies. I'll have to do an episode on that.
And speaking of Art, I'm not sure if Art Bell ever had him on, but I know George Norrie did, and quite a bit. Alex Jones, that's where he really started getting his foothold on Coast to Coast AM. But back then, InfoWars was simply against, I wouldn't say, not apolitical, but against globalists, and they were all, right up Coast to Coast AM's alley with his conspiracy theories.
Yeah. Oh man, it's always some great stuff to listen to in the middle of the night if I can catch it. It's always worth it.
Always is when you're doing those late night drives. With Art Bell and Art Bell Classics, so.
Oh yeah, if they can do the syndicated shows from the past, that's some good stuff.
Depends on when you get him. Chain smoking 3 packs a day. After some, you get that sweet, sweet radio voice after.
Jeez. Well,
but
it's something to aspire for, I suppose. Being able to talk that long.
If you can afford it after I-186.
Yeah, well, that's another thing to bring up. Why don't we tell our listeners what I-186 is about real quick? That's the one regarding the tax on tobacco, correct?
Yep, increases it actually quite substantially. $2 for a pack, and I think $2 and some change, and high change, like $2.80 or something for chewless or chew tobacco. So it's quite the rate hike that's going to fund Medicare, apparently, and other health initiatives. And yeah, health initiatives, and giving some money to veterans, which is capped at some millions. I'll have to look it up, but it's a decent sum of money, or 4%, whichever is greater. And so you'll hear the attack ads against 186 saying that it caps veterans' benefits at 4%, but it's talking about the 4% of the intake of the bill. So it's, last I knew, if we don't know, 4% of nothing is nothing. So,
yeah, it sounds to me like this bill would be taxing cigarettes in order to pay for the damage that the cigarettes are going to cause to these people shortly.
Right, and it's so-called an unfunded mandate, and that's, maybe somebody's a statistician or something. Last I knew, things like tobacco and other addictive substances, it's non-elastic, it's non-elastic, which means it doesn't change dramatically with regard to the price to a point. So
no, you're still going to see the same sales. No one's going to be like, oh, $2 more a pack of cigarettes, I'm done. Absolutely not. Yeah, I smoked for 30 years, but this was just the straw that broke Joe Camlen's back, No, we're done, just cast this lighter aside, and then, bring on the withdrawals. You won't see that shit happen. They're gonna keep buying pack after pack, because they're addicted to it.
And the smoking is slowly going down as people die. So,
well, is this on vaping too? This tax?
No mention of vaping.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if it's not on e-cigs at all, because that's where you're starting to see a lot of the controversy is people moving over to the e-cigs now. So you have a lot of people who want, lobbying within the tobacco industry. I imagine, I don't know, just like Marlboro and the big guys even have any vaping juices?
They do. Vaping juices and I think some gas station stuff is sort of basic vaping. But as far as I know, maybe we'll have to talk to our vaping resource at work. We've got a guy or two. Mostly it's small vendors pretty much and small manufacturers. So this is the new Wild West, and big tobacco isn't in it yet, or isn't in it effectively, I'll say.
Well, yet, yeah. It's only a matter of
they're
time.
getting there. They've pushed hard for a number of things that don't seem to make sense, like for more regulations on who can produce and sell tobacco. That doesn't make sense, but it turns out it also covered vaping, and creates a higher barrier of entry to these small-time vape shops and vape companies. So that was the idea there.
I see. Jeez, what a bummer.
Well, we'll have to turn into 1450 to learn more, I guess. But let's suppose get on to our last topic here, which I saw on your list, but I didn't know where you wanted to go with this, on home entertainment.
Oh, yeah, no, that was just more of a one-off there. We couldn't come up with anything there to round out a full hour. But, yeah, no, that was just a question, just rhetorical there, of what kind of setups we have for our home entertainment, if we want to go with minimalist or not minimalist.
Well, the only device I have that can record myself, only direct line to the CIA or DHS, more likely in my case, because I'm slightly brown, is my phone, and so I try to minimize other devices like the Alexa that records you all the time, or the Google Home as well. So I have Chromecast myself, and they've worked pretty well and haven't been an issue.
Indeed. Well, that's a pretty good point to point out there, if you will. The smart devices like your Alexas and stuff are always listening, so always good to be on the watch out for that. There's always listening ears around if you want to hook that thing in your house. So,
well, supposedly it's not a concern, but we'll wait for the day. I think studies have found that instead of knowing what you're actually saying at any given point, the metadata is more valuable than even recorded audio or video. You can learn more about a person through a computer analysis of your metadata. So I don't think Amazon or Google needs any more info on me.
Yeah, no, they're getting just enough, as much as they are for my searches, I think. But yeah, speaking of that, Google, they have their new Pixel earbuds. They're coming out for the Pixel phones. And these new Pixel earbuds apparently are going to be able to translate languages in real time. Just like the fish.
Oh, the universal translator.
Yeah, just
what a time to be alive.
Just like the fish from Hitchhiker's Guide. So, yeah, no, the future is here. It's come. So, watch out, world. Once you get a pair of those, you'll be able to hear and just speak. Well, you won't be able to speak to anybody because they won't be able to hear you unless they've got their own set.
Well, everybody's going to need a set.
Exactly. But then at that point, then Google's recording everybody's conversations. So that's what they want. They won.
Oh, absolutely have. Well, I'll do that one dismissive thing where people say, well, I've got nothing to hide. If Google wanted to listen to me, then whatever.
Exactly.
If you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to be afraid of, which is not true. So,
what are they going to do? Watch me when I'm jacking off, and then it's like, no, buddy, nah.
No, they're going to understand what you jack off to and specifically tailor advertisements and
yeah.
So to further your addiction.
Fella,
that's what they're going to do.
It's a matter of what shows up on your Amazon searches later on. Your suggestions. Suggestions are going to be your downfall, fella. But,
we'll get you caught. Like when you pull up your search history, you're like, oh, hold on, honey, and you're showing something to your wife. Yeah, I don't know why that's there. Let's just forget we saw that.
Gee, these kids, I got hacked. you know.
That was it. Well, so I guess we're going minimalist in this case, because I understand you're running the Chromecast as well.
I do try and keep it as slimmed down as possible with the children. I don't like to have a lot of cords around, so the less devices, the better. And then on top of that, less devices means less power consumption. So I'm really more about the minimalist lifestyle. I'm trying to become a minimalist in general on a lot of things, which is really hard when you've just accumulated a bunch of shit over, the first half of your life. I did pretty good today on throwing out a fair amount of stuff today, but still going through, just trying to parse through one thing at a time. Do I need this? Do I not need it? If I don't need it, can I sell it? Can I gift it? Should I toss it?
Exactly.
Is it?
And I've taken a lot of your things, so it's we'll appreciate them. We're doing much of the same, but you made a point about that power consumption. And each of these dongles and USB things that you plug into the wall takes up those single watts add up. And one thing that I hope comes this revolution, I guess, is whole home low power. We can have a way to power maybe USB from a central source, because it's more efficient to have one larger unit than it is to have these dongles everywhere that all consume heat. Maybe that's a possibility for the new energy home, efficient home of the future.
That would be pretty cool to see. It's only a matter of time. I know my house is due for a rewire on electrical, so maybe I'll just hold out a little bit and see what kind of revolutionary technology we come to.
My house, or my old house in Great Falls, that was also in need of some electrical work. So.
Yes, it was. On that note too, one of the things I was thinking about maybe is just doing as a project at my house was going solar here, or at least having a solar backup solution. So maybe that'd be something to look into. I'm on county land, so I'm pretty certain it's fully legal for me to do so.
Is there a permit or regulation in Great Falls to go solar? Or?
I don't think we have one, but that's something to definitely look into anywhere you do it beforehand, because you don't want to do anything like that. That's a huge investment to get turned around and fined on, and then totally rip out.
Right, so apparently Great Falls, I'm told that to do any contracting or remodeling, etc., plans have to be approved by the city and an architect.
Yep, any kind of remodels like that. Electrical work, I don't know about that, but yeah, like remodels as far as like structural work, you need to get it approved in a permit.
Well, thank goodness you live on county land. So.
Yep, Wild West out here. I can do whatever I want. I can have a horse, I can have a cow, I can raise ostriches.
Donkey? Can do
if I wanted.
Well, the solar is certainly worth looking into. The solar, the WISP guys do that quite a bit for these remote towers. Instead of paying to have power infrastructure put out there, they're actually running solar all the time. So they have solar and batteries to charge during the day, and then they power radios all night.
Wow. Is that efficient for them then?
Well, it's more efficient than paying the power company to trench lines to your property in the middle of nowhere.
For certain. Is there, if they have a huge load on, if they have, heavy traffic, will they deplete the batteries faster in the night?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think when a radio's on, it's on. So it's always processing. It's a steady power load. And these radios are very low powered. I mean, the max on Wi-Fi is 1 watt of output power, so I think you can get... Max you can do a PoE is 36 watts. Even if you have a radio that takes all that power, 36 watts, that's nothing for a battery array.
Yeah, good point.
Well, I suppose that's going to conclude episode 1 of Montana Voices. Tune in next week. I think we're going to talk about Gianforte and probably some other more local elections. Maybe we'll go outside our communities and talk about a community, either Highline or Billings or something interesting that's worth talking about.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at the local news in one of these towns and see what issues are affecting them at that current day, and have a go at it from there, and then from there on, keep at it.
Every town has their offshoot of The Electric, the online newspaper that can somehow make a business out of this when the brick and mortar guys can't.
Yeah, that is something pretty stellar here. I didn't realize that you could advertise on the site beforehand. I had seen some of their advertisements, but I thought they were all like just ones that this guy had clipped on here on his own. But yeah, it looks like you can give him a monthly subscription. I don't see anything about a Patreon though, so I'm not fully with the times here.
Patreon or Subbable or wherever the industry's going.
Wherever it's at.
So, are we considering advertising on the electric?
Well, now that I've found this link here on the fly, I'm wondering what needs to happen. But if it's just a matter of throwing it out there at them, then yeah, I think it'd be worth it. Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, well, we gotta support our advertisers as well. Hopefully, Stranger Things will jump on board. We can cash that check. And
who else do we even name in this? We plugged quite a few people, but yeah, no, definitely support your local businesses. TheElectricGF.com. Go there, check out some of them articles. Very insightful things. Different viewpoints on some things. Yeah, give it a read, give it a look through. Check it out. They got a Facebook page that also links back to them as well. Twitter, it looks like, and an Instagram. You can subscribe to them as well for $5 monthly, it looks like.
Yep, and we'll have some sort of witty exit saying maybe next week.
For certain. Some exit and entry music as well. This is pretty terrible startings for a podcast, but I have never heard a very good episode 1 for anyone, so we're doing all right, I'd say, to start out.
Yeah, 002 will be a lot better.
No doubt. All right.
All right, until next week.